next time he was online and posting. Cut to a few days ago. I get a random DM on Twitter, and the DM basically told me, hey, there's someone shit talking you on lolcow. And I basically responded to them saying, please don't send me these types of DMs, because I specifically don't go on there because I find it negatively affects me, and I don't gain anything from seeing people say things about me. Like, there's no point. Later on, I find out via Shannon that people are alleging that she's posting this vile shit about her friends on lolcow. She tells me that it's someone impersonating her and spoofing her IP address. So she's not the one, there's someone pretending to be Shannon. That was the narrative. She'd been my close friend for years, and I didn't understand much about how IPs worked and spoofing and what's possible versus what's not possible versus what happens all the time. I was inclined to believe her because she was a friend of mine. For me, it was very much a real friendship offline. I met her in real life before the pandemic. We sent each other gifts. We both shared personal experiences that we'd had with each other that are private. You know, like, we had a very real friendship. So my inclination was to believe her, because I'm not going to run to believe that a friend is shit talking me on a website. I don't think anyone who really trusts their friends would do that. So that's why right off the bat, I posted this, and it's been deleted since because obviously I changed my mind, but I went on to YouTube where she'd done a community post explaining, essentially saying the same thing of the IP spoofing, etc. And I screenshotted all of it and put it on Twitter so it got more visibility. And I basically said, go send Shannon some love, something along those lines. And I really was dead set on believing her because I didn't understand the IP situation, firstly. And secondly, like I said, it's hard for me to believe that someone that I'd been this close to would do that. However, the next day I saw comments and I began to look into IPs and spoofing and how all of this works, because I'm not technically well versed in any of these things. I also then saw that an admin from lolcow had confirmed that the posts that people were claiming were Shannon were actually Shannon via confirming that her IP had been consistent. So much like in my previous situation, the admin confirmed, yes, this is actually the person. This is actually Shannon, just like that was actually YouTuber X. So this immediately became reminiscent for me in a very obviously horrible way, because I felt like I was being put back in the same position I was in when this happened with that other YouTuber, because the events are so similar, right? Except that here I was close friends with the person, so with Shannon, so it hurt a lot more. So like I said, Shannon was posting saying that her IP had been spoofed, but then when I looked into it, I asked my friends who are more knowledgeable, who know about this stuff. I asked my husband about it. And when they began to explain to me how all of this worked, it became hard for me to believe that she'd been spoofed. They also all were under the consensus of it is extremely unlikely that multiple devices were being spoofed over 300 times over multiple years. Like, the probability of that being a reality was next to null, basically. The only way in which this would happen would be that the person would have to be a pro hacker, and even the probabilities of that were low. It was difficult for me to hear that it was very unlikely that someone was impersonating her. It was difficult to internalize or accept the possible new reality of, oh yeah, this person actually, they weren't who you thought they were. And worst of all, they wanted to kind of convince you into thinking your relationship was something it wasn't. And the most confusing and almost laughable part of this is that a couple days before all of this information came out, Shannon had sent me roses to my own house. So like, I think that was also part of it. It sounds stupid, but it's like, how do you reconcile, oh yeah, someone sent me roses, but they also don't think much of me and are shit talking me on a website. It is so contradictory that you almost feel a little bit crazy, because you're like, okay, what happened in between? Like, so I think that also made me feel worse because I was like, what do these flowers represent? What does this mean? So, when a friend hurts you privately, it's horrendous. When a friend hurts you publicly, it's equally horrendous, and it puts you in a very strange place where you have to explain things you might not know or understand. And that's kind of where I've been in this situation, which is why I've also not wanted to speak too quickly. I didn't want to jump the gun because, like I said, I didn't understand some of the technology, and I also just didn't understand what I was supposed to believe and where I was at, even though there was clear evidence, in my opinion, that some shit talking had been said, but I wanted to see also, is there more? The other reason I was silent is because this took a massive, massive toll on my mental and physical health. And, if you guys have been following me, I've been struggling already generally, with just human mental health shit, whatever. So this added thing happening was so unexpected, first of all, but also just so jarring that, when something's so jarring that you don't know where to place it, it's almost like you're holding something and you have nowhere to put it in your brain. It kind of felt like that. Nonetheless, I could see that Shannon was getting a lot of hate. So I did check in on her because no matter what, I don't want people to self-harm. I don't want people to do worse. And, I could imagine that having all these people piling on you, even if you are guilty, nobody deserves to hurt themselves. So I checked in on her, though I was entirely transparent when I checked in on her, saying, this is not me saying I'm on your side. This is me saying, I don't know what to do with the situation, but I don't want you to hurt yourself. Shannon didn't volunteer much information at all because I just wanted to find evidence. Of course, I was hoping that for some reason she'd be innocent. Of course, nobody wants or hopes for their friends to be guilty. But the core thing was I wanted to find evidence. So if she was guilty, I knew she was guilty. And if she was innocent, I knew she was innocent.